everybody. Welcome to the Lawrence County Animal Hour. My name is Kayla Corbett. I'm the Vice President of the Friends of Lawrence County Animals, FOLCA. And I have with me Ginger.
Hello, everybody. I'm the Executive Director of the Lawrence County-Lawrenceburg Animal Shelter.
Yeah.
And this is Chip. And I think all you're getting is either the back of his head or looking at his buhini, as I call him.
Yes. His beautiful coloring. Yep.
He's beautiful. He's a little shy, a little camera shy, but as you can tell, he loves to be loved on. As soon as Kayla brought him, and as soon as I walked in, he's like, "Oh, hey, somebody else to love on me."
Yeah, he was a little nervous when I went to pick him up. He rode pretty good in the car. He was a little bit unsure about it to begin with, but he settled right down. He walked in here and talked to everybody, greeted everybody.
Well, I call them all my kids. So either my personal dogs at home and the dogs at the animal shelter, I call them my kids. So sometimes I say they talk to me and
exactly.
Oh, you want some more loving, huh?
Yeah, but as soon as Ginger walked in the door, he immediately recognized her and walked up to her, and this is pretty much where he's been since. So maybe he'll calm down and you'll get a good picture of his face.
Maybe. He is beautiful. He's 2 years old. He's been with us at the shelter for almost a year and a half. I think he's kind of been overlooked because he is really shy, but we have been really concentrating on the shyer dogs at the shelter and trying to get them out and about. And, there are 4 of us that work there, and we typically have 3 trustees. And so we're trying to get them between all of us out. So they're used to different people. Of course, like you said, as soon as he saw me, he came to me. So,
right.
But, anybody who would be interested in adopting him would just have to give him, we have a 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months kind of thing that we give you. And it takes them 3 days to kind of figure out where they are. And it takes them 3 weeks to realize that they're not going anywhere else. Right. This is home. So it really takes at least a good month, to give a dog like Chip just a little bit, a little space, a little time to warm up to you. But he's going to be a sweetheart.
Yeah.
Yep. He's going to want to be right by your side and be loved on. And, we have Valentine's Day coming up.
Yes, we do.
So if if you have chosen not to have a Valentine's Day this year, you can always choose Chip. He has a brother named Chase, who is a little bit shyer, and we have a plethora of other dogs at the shelter that would love to be somebody's Valentine. And you can foster him just for the weekend. You can come Thursday, Friday, get him, bring him back Sunday afternoon or Monday morning, or you can just take him out for Valentine's Day for a walk. Go to the park with him. I'm hoping it's not going to rain.
Yeah,
but it might. So.
Yeah. Or it might just rain for a little bit. You never know.
But, a rainy day and a dog like Chip just means, maybe some hot chocolate, curled up on the couch, reading a book with Chip.
With Chip.
That's kind of that would be my favorite Valentine's Day.
I think he would be a good little couch potato companion for a Valentine's Day weekend.
I think he would, too.
Yep.
Yeah. I think he would.
Yeah. And so, it's sad to think about, Chip and his brother, who are right at 2 years old and then have spent 18 months of their life in the shelter. That's, their whole life. They probably don't remember their life before.
And they were kind of feral, if I remember it correctly, which we got a couple of groups of dogs in right at the same time. But I think we had to go out to Henryville and get him. And I think there were maybe 3 or 4 others that came in with him, and they were kind of feral. It took us a minute to catch him. Oh, you might see his face. All right, Chip, raise your head up.
Aw.
Oh no, Chipperoo. But it might take him a minute, but I think he's going to warm up and be just a love bug.
Yeah.
And for being at the shelter for that long and kind of coming in feral, he has made some progress.
Yeah,
Now,
definitely.
if he was in a foster home or somebody adopted him, I think he would be that loyal companion and love buddy that you want some more pets that everybody's kind of looking for,
Yeah,
know.
I
And
think
some
so.
people want a dog that's not up in their face, but I think that he would eventually want to be up in your face.
Yeah.
Because he keeps coming back to me. So
Yeah, definitely wants the attention, I think. Definitely, I think will be affectionate once, with somebody who can give him a little more patience and a little more time to decompress and build that trust and things. Probably be good in a house without small children.
Correct.
Or like to be able to have that separation between them and some small children. Older
Right.
kids, teenagers might be
Yeah,
fine.
I was thinking some maybe 10, 12, they're, ones that are not going to come running at him and scare him.
Yeah.
We want everybody to be safe.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't know about cats.
Okay.
So that's something that we don't know about.
Okay.
We don't house cats at the shelter. We do have some that are in the woods out there that we're trying to trap and have spayed and neutered, or
Right.
like I like to say, spaneutered.
Spaneutered.
I got tongue-tied one day and saying spayed or neutered. I said spaneutered, and it's kind of kept with me over probably like 25 years ago. So
It's funny. Yeah. And the folks at the shelter told me that he is kennel trained. So that's
that's
great.
really nice.
Yeah, that's a great point for him.
Oddly enough, I think a lot of dogs went out into foster homes over the storm. I wasn't at the shelter at the time, but I think they came back as saying that they were pretty much mostly housebroken.
Yeah.
They don't like to go where they live.
Right,
They really
exactly.
don't. So I think if he's not totally housebroken, it probably wouldn't take long at all.
Yeah. That's the case with so many dogs. It just takes them a little bit of time and a little bit of effort, just to get over that hump and get them used to their new surroundings, and then
Put your head
they
over here.
pick up pretty quickly.
There you go.
Yeah, so we got a good show lined up today. I think it's spay and neuter month, so I'm glad you brought up spaneutering.
Spaneutering,
Spaneutering.
yes.
We're going to talk a lot about spaneutering. We are going to talk about some events going on at the shelter and some things coming up with FOCA. First, I want to thank our sponsors. We always need to thank our sponsors. So
Absolutely.
that's Story and Lee. We've got Hearing Services of Middle Tennessee, and then Parks Lumber Company. So we are so grateful to them for what they do for us, what they do for the shelter, and for FOCA. They're keeping the lights on around here. So thank you. Make sure you go support them so they can continue supporting us.
Through their sponsorship, we are able to be on the show here. And also from that, we get a lot of our dogs are either adopted or fostered, or people attend our events because we're able to get this information out. And pretty much we're mentioning a lot of our sponsors and a lot of our social media posts. So if you would like to be a sponsor, you can contact WLX, or you can give me a call at 931-244-0265. And yeah, let us know. It's so helpful to us to have the sponsors. It's very important.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if you're interested in adopting Chip,
You can still call me
at that same number.
at that same number, 931-244-0265.
Yep. And they can set up some time for you to go to the shelter and meet Chip. Now that the weather's finally nice, it was beautiful today.
Oh, I know.
It was
And
so
yesterday.
nice. Yes, it's been beautiful the past couple of days. The sun's been shining, so you can spend some time outside in the little doggy play area.
Yeah.
And, see if he's a good fit for you and your family. And then I think you're going to get a good picture of maybe his face now.
I don't know.
Maybe. And
And we have a little trail that's a quarter of a mile out there
Mm-hmm.
that kind of winds through some little woods. And so you can just come out and take him for a walk,
Yeah.
or if it's nice and you're bored, you can come out, even on your lunch hour and walk a dog. I mean, it doesn't
Yeah.
take that long to walk a quarter of a mile.
Mm-mm.
And if you want to go around twice, that's great. You can walk one dog. It's a lot of people will say, well, I don't have enough time to come out and walk several. But you know what? The one that you walk, that means a lot to the one that you walk.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
There's a saying, and I'm going to mess it up, I'm sure, but it's like, you might not be able to help every dog, but the one dog that you do, that means so much to them than you would ever think.
Right.
And it means a lot to us at the shelter to see that other people are getting involved.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and and you might think, well, I'm only going to be able to walk, 2 dogs, or 30 minutes, is that really helping anything? But it does.
It does, yes.
It helps the dog, but it also helps the people at the shelter, because every dog that you walk, is something else that those people can be doing. And
right. And like Chip saw me and he came straight to me,
Yeah.
right? Well, if you walk Chip, you might be able to tell us something different about his personality than I see. A lot of times, somebody, I'll say, oh, he's great with me. And they're like, oh, well, he didn't walk well, whatever. And it's because they're not used to another person. And so this just helps them socialize them, helps them get more socialized, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely. About the adoption process, do you want to talk a little more about what all's included in the adoption fees and things like that?
Right. So our adoption fee is $50. For that, we spay and neuter the dog if it hasn't already been spayed or neutered, but it will be spayed or neutered one way or the other. And then they also they're microchipped, and they're up to date on all of their vaccines that they need to be.
That's great. He sees something.
He sees something. Yeah, I don't know what it is that he sees, and I don't think anybody can see him on camera.
Yeah.
But it was funny. He looks like he was going to.
I thought he was going to take off,
yeah.
so I was like preparing for that. But yeah, so that's great. $50 for microchipping, spay and neuter, all vaccines.
Correct.
That's an incredible price on that.
So when you look at it, I see other shelters have put like what their number, like $1 to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And by the time they finish, it could be up to $300.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you're getting a deal for $50.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's $50 worth of love.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, I mean, if you're on the fence or just been thinking about, maybe adopting a pet, this being the weekend of love, I think.
Exactly. You can come. And if you're not so sure yet, you can foster, like I said, for the weekend or a week or 2 weeks or however long you want to. And then probably after a little while, we'll call you and say, hey, are you planning on keeping Chip or,
Right.
should we take him off our list? But
exactly. Yeah. Maybe this is your sign to take that step in that direction and come meet a dog or two and see.
And even if you have a Valentine, you could always have a 4-legged Valentine.
Yes, there's always room for more. So I guess, that's pretty zoomed in, talking about Chip and the adoption process. Do you want to talk about overall shelter numbers for January?
I can. I've printed them out, so forgive me if I have to flip pages.
No, it's okay.
But so far this year, I've got Chip.
I know, I'm covered in Chip.
I have Chip hair in my nose. So far this year, we have taken in 34 dogs, with 17 of them being puppies under 6 months old. Oof. We've had 19 adoptions. We have returned 8 dogs to their rightful owner. And we have transferred out, I want to say, 11. But on the 24th, we have a transport going to Pennsylvania that will have 15 of our dogs on it. And then right after that, I think we're going to transfer out an additional 10. and we're going to start doing transports pretty much every month to move some of the dogs that are here that have been at the shelter a while, or even if they haven't, to move them out to places. Typically, they go to states in the north that have a really high adoption rate because they have a very low stray dog rate.
Right.
You know, to go into those states, our dogs have to be spayed or neutered before they go in. Well, like I said, most of our dogs are already spayed or neutered, but we have to have them spayed or neutered to go in the states. So they have very strict spay-neuter laws. So they don't have the over crowding in their shelters up north like they do in the south.
Right. They have a lot more laws around pet ownership and things like that.
Licensing. Licensing.
Right.
It's a hard word for me to say today.
Yeah. To help prevent that and help their
and let's see,
shelters.
what else did we? Let's see. Well, and we've already, of our shelter animals, we've already spayed 15.
Okay.
This year. And we have vaccinated 21.
Wow.
So for all the ones that come in, we stay busy, just,
definitely.
I know a lot of people say, oh, I would love your job because you get to play with puppies all day long. If only.
Yeah.
And playing with puppies at the shelter means I've got to clean up after the puppies at the shelter.
Yeah. I had 4 puppies over the cold snap. And, the playing with them is fun, but the cleaning up after them is the worst part of it.
Yeah, it is.
For sure.
I love puppies. It's like everybody at the shelter, they're like, why do you love the puppies? They're just so cute. They're like babies. You know, when they learn something new. Like if you have a little baby and it learns something new, and so its face lights up and it coos, and the puppies are they're so funny and they're so uncoordinated. Yeah. I think that's the funniest part.
Yeah.
See them, like,
watch them try to run and
like,
all legs. Yeah, it's really funny. But yeah, the weather's warming up now, so I'm
hoping it's going to stay warm.
I know.
So
hopefully this isn't fake. What do they call it? Fake spring?
Something. Well, yeah, we're just going to hope.
Yeah, we're just we're just going to hope it. I mean, it's better. It's easier on the animals, they show better. It's easier to facilitate meetings and things like that.
And it's easier at the shelter.
Definitely. Easier on, the staff, easier on the volunteers, definitely. Transporting is easier.
It makes everything easier.
Yeah, definitely. I know we had a lot of, like you were saying, a lot of fosters, a lot of volunteers step up during the cold snap. So
and thank you for doing that. That's and you have stepped up several times on litters of puppies. So now I have her as my puppy foster.
I'm the puppy foster. My older rescue dog is not a fan of the puppies. So he, when I bring him home, he always looks at me like, really, again? We're doing this again. But yeah, it's been so nice, like seeing all the pictures. I think Carmela, I think, is the picture that I see of her like laying on the bed with the little boy. Yeah. So sweet.
That was just that was a precious picture.
Yeah. And I think they really enjoyed having her as a foster. So it was just really great to see those dogs, and their personalities come out and things like that.
And that gives us at the shelter, again, more information about the dog.
Right.
Did they like sleeping on the pillows? Did they really want to sleep on the cold floor? Or, because some dogs, depending on the dog, you could give them all the pillows in the world and they're like, no, I'm sleeping on the floor.
Exactly.
Not taking that.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. I guess we have a lot of community programs going on right now with the shelter.
We do. So we have I think it's Doggy Adventures.
Yeah.
I've been out for a couple of weeks, and so some things have happened while I'm not there, which is great. Yeah. So Doggy Adventures, you can come and pick up the dog for the day, take him for a walk, Davy Crockett Park, walk him at our little track around there. I think some ladies came the other day and took them to Davy Crockett Park. I think they walked them like 2.5 miles, and then they took them to get pup cups.
Of course.
Those were really cute pictures.
Yeah.
And I think some people may have walked them around the square. There are a couple places at the square you can take the dogs in. Probably need to do a little bit more research on that too. But I know New Moon and then Paisley's is a pet store, so you can take them in there. And then this Sunday, weather permitting, I guess, because I think it's supposed to rain, but we're doing Tails to Trails at Davy Crockett Park. Now, you need to sign up, and if you go to their Facebook page, I think there's a post about it. It might be a couple days old, so you have to look. But you need to sign up. I think at the first time we're only doing like 5.
Right.
So, so we can keep it kind of controllable. In the first time, there will be a staff member there. You do need to pick up your dogs at the shelter. And I believe the walk starts at 9. So you probably want to come pick up your dog about between 8 and 8:30 at the shelter on Sunday morning. And then head to the park and walk and then bring them back.
Yep. Yeah. So Anne was on last week.
Last week, okay.
And so she talked a lot about that. So yeah, you can register on the David Crockett State Park website on the events tab. I checked it. So there are 4 spots left. So somebody has registered. And you, like you said, pick the dog up at the shelter, and then you meet at the parking lot next to the restaurant. Okay, I think is where everybody's going to meet. And then, you just go on a hike with your dog. I think you're pre-selecting some dogs that we all know, can walk and get along well together.
Ride well in the car,
exactly.
All that. All that good stuff.
And so, I'm excited for that. I think we're going to, if there's some spots left, we're going to grab a spot. Yeah. I want to give everybody else the opportunity to do it. But that's exciting. I did see, it was Cash and Brady, I think, did the doggy adventure. And so that's
Cash
really
and Brady,
fun.
I think, are pretty good friends too.
Oh, are they? That's good.
And Cash is always up for a car ride. So if you don't feel like walking, but hey, you want to take a dog for a pup cup, Cash is your man.
That's a really good, this time of year when it starts warming up, roll the windows down a little bit, put some music on, go for a car ride, and take Cash out.
Yeah. I love Cash.
Yeah. Is he a healer mix?
He is a healer mix.
That's what I thought. I was looking at a picture of him. He looks like a healer.
I think he's cute because he has such a great personality to him. But he's a cute dog.
He is a cute dog.
But he has personality plus.
Yeah. And activities like that are so good. Like if it's just taking him for a car ride or the doggy adventure or the Tails to Trails, they're so good for us, getting out into nature and enjoying the nicer weather, but it's also so good for the dog, for their mental health and getting them out of the shelter and getting them, exposed to new activities and new people and new stimuli.
And, I think there's been a lot of times that maybe I've traveled and I was like, oh, I'd really like to go for a walk. Well, you're not sure about where you are, what's safe. The park is safe. But if I had known I could go pick up a dog from the Humane Society or animal shelter or whatever in one of those cities, I would probably do that because, sometimes I'm on vacation and that's not kind of what I'm doing. But, sometimes I travel, I go to events for the shelter, but, I may have an afternoon or a morning where it's kind of empty and I have time to do something and I'm just sitting around in the hotel. So I think next time that I do that, I am going to look in to see if there's a shelter close by that I can go, love on dogs. A lot of times we tour some shelters. So.
Oh, okay. That's a really good point. It
doesn't give me time to, to actually play with the dogs. But so even if you're traveling, if you're out there and you're just like, hey, I'm going to go to the park. I want to go walk at the park. Just come by and pick up a dog. We're at 815 Gaither. And, no reason to walk by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And I see a lot of people walking, even just like around the square, you know, some people walk laps there, or, you know, they walk at Rotary or whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Crockett's close to us, so I say that. I think somebody wanted to pick up one of the dogs and go to Veterans Park. So it doesn't really matter where you want to walk them. or take them for that matter. Just get them out, and everybody needs some fresh air these days. So.
Yeah, definitely. And this weather is perfect. It's perfect time to get involved.
Yeah.
You can whether it's, you're a student looking for volunteer hours, or you're retired, or just looking for a way to spend your lunch hour and do something that's beneficial for you and beneficial, to the dogs and the community, and spend your time in a meaningful way.
I won't say that they're going to let you eat your lunch while you're taking them for a walk, but we do have some picnic tables out. So you might want to eat your lunch first,
yes,
and then take them for a walk, or vice versa.
Yes, or eat in the car on the way there, and then take your lunch. Yep. And, it's, fostering. We talked a little bit about fostering.
Right.
And you don't have to commit to, adopting a dog in order to help these animals. Right. There's so many ways for you to give.
And the length of time you foster depends on you and your lifestyle and what you have going on. And if, even if you think, okay, well, I'm going to foster them for a week, and something comes up and you only have them for 2 days, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that people have said to me about fostering is, I hate to get them out for a couple of days and get their hopes up and then bring them back. But dogs are pretty resilient, for one, and they don't think about it that way. They think about it as, hey, I've had a good time for a couple of days, and I busted out. I'm going to go back. Somebody busted me out, and when I go back, all my friends are going to sniff and want to know where I've been.
What you been eating?
What you been eating? Where you been?
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's just a vacation. It's
kind of like
time
all
away.
of us. We want time away to relax, and that's kind of what they get.
Yeah, definitely. I saw that you guys have an adoption event on Valentine's Day.
We do have an adoption event. I'm hoping that it doesn't get rained out, because every time I look, I'm like, is it going to get less? But it just gets more rain. But, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say, if it's rained out on Valentine's Day, we'll do it the next Saturday. Okay. We'll have a post-Valentine's Day. So if you were unlucky, or you were lucky and you had a date, or you have a loved one, that you're spending time with on Valentine's Day, but it just wasn't as satisfying as you thought it would be, well, you can come to the shelter the next Saturday.
There you go.
And there you go. I mean, I've had some Valentine dates that I kind of wish I'd stayed at home with my dog, but hey.
Unlucky in love, lucky in dog.
Exactly.
That's what we're going for. So all the dogs that are available are on the Pet Finder website.
Correct. And is that link broken?
I think the link is broken on the Facebook
on our
site.
Facebook page.
But you can go to petfinder.com and just type in the Lawrence
zip code, or zip code.
You can do the zip code, and search for it there, and then you can get to the Lawrence County-Lawrenceburg Animal Shelter page and search only for animals that are listed there. There's also the Pet Finder app, so you can find all the animals under your care there.
And on there, you can search by how much you want your dog to weigh, or if you want male or female, or you want a particular mix. So we've had people come down from looking at Pet Finder from north of Nashville and said, hey, you've got this dog, can we come see it? I'm like, sure,
Yeah.
And they wound up adopting the dog, and there you go. Happily ever after.
Yeah, absolutely. So it lets you kind of window shop, lets you, narrow it down to a couple of dogs that you think you might be interested in. That way, it kind of just expedites that process when you come to meet them and, kind of get a feel for personalities at that point.
Because we will bring out any dog that you want to see, but we typically don't let anybody walk into the back of the shelter. You can see the dogs that are outside, but at the back of the shelter, where all the kennels are, they don't show well back there, because they'll start barking and jumping, and it gets them all riled up, I guess is the way to put that. And they don't show well back there. I know one dog, there's the sweetest dog. Somebody just peeked their head around the corner, and he was like, rah, rah, rah. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You know, but it was somebody he didn't know. Now out, you know, because that's I call them their rooms, their kennels. You know, they didn't want anybody in their space. So when you get them out in a kind of a neutral space, they show a lot better.
Yeah, I've noticed that as well. Like when I went and walked a bunch of dogs, and I would go get it out of the kennel, and it would be barking or whatever, and then as soon as it gets out of the kennel, it's a totally different dog.
Exactly.
And you want to give that dog a fair chance to meet you and interact with you, and I think that is a really good a good point that you want to choose your dog based on your preferences, and you guys do a great job of putting different photos on there that demonstrate their personalities and things like that. So definitely check out the Pet Finder. I think there's over 100 dogs.
Yeah, there are over 100 dogs on the Pet Finder.
Yeah. So, under the Lawrenceburg.
Likelihood of you finding a dog of your dreams is pretty high, unless you want something like a Chihuahua or a Yorkie or a Shih Tzu or Maltipoo.
And nobody wants a Chihuahua, guys.
We don't have dogs that are that small. We have some that are about 20, 25 pounds.
Yeah, there's some small ones.
Don't get really small, tiny ones in there.
Yeah. So February is the month of love. It is also the month of spaying and neutering your pets.
Yes.
So February is the nationally recognized month for spaying and neutering, because if you fix your pets now, then we won't have just the absolute overabundance of unwanted kittens and puppies in the summer.
Exactly.
So,
and I want to say last year, the unwanted puppies that came into the shelter from April until probably July, I think we had like 44.
Oh, wow.
And when they came in, they were probably all under 8 weeks. So we had lots and lots of little puppies. Yeah. That's why you need to have your dogs and cats spayed or neutered now, before puppy and kitten season.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are all kinds of statistics out there. The ones that I'm going to read this because it's 2 dogs and all of their puppies. If none of those puppies are ever spayed or neutered, can add up to 67,000 puppies in 6 years.
Yeah.
67,000. That's an insane number. That's more than the people that live in this county, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. So think about how the shelter would even handle, 10%?
Yeah.
Of that.
Yeah. I mean, last year we had, 400 intakes?
Pretty close to 400.
And I mean, completely overwhelmed.
We were overwhelmed, yes, and we're still overwhelmed.
Right.
Luckily, we're getting these partnerships out of the state that we can send them to. But, Lawrence County, we need to spay and neuter our pets.
Yes. Fix your pets. Fix the future.
Your pets.
Fix the future. And that's puppies. I think kittens are worse. It's like 100,000.
Oh, yeah. I didn't realize that. I'm not going to say I'm not a cat person, because I've typically always had a cat, except for the last couple of years. My cat passed away. But I just seem to know more about dogs than I do cats. And I didn't realize it, but a cat can have kittens and then actually get pregnant again while she's still nursing those kittens, somebody told me. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But somebody told me that, and it just makes sense to me. How fast cats are almost like rabbits, I think.
Yeah, it's exponential growth for sure.
Yeah.
But it's like, you say that number and it feels abstract, like it doesn't feel real. But when you're at the shelter and when puppies keep showing up and, the summer's here and it's more reports of litters getting dumped and people fighting litters, like it's real numbers, it's real lives, it's real animals that are the consequences of that.
I know a couple of people have have come to the shelter and said, I heard you were overwhelmed, but I didn't realize what that meant until I came out here.
Right.
You know, the shelter was built to house 70, maybe 80 at most. And we have been running typically 100 and anywhere from 120 to 100 at one point in October, because we had some cruelty cases, some big litters dumped on us. We had 160 dogs. Now, we worked really hard to get them moved out, and a lot of the puppies were transported out. But, I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just, I mean, spay and neuter has such a big role in keeping that under control. And it's, it's the animals. I mean, it's saving those animals' lives. That's the number one thing that you can do to save those animals' lives. But it's also the shelter resources. It's volunteer burnout. It's staff burnout.
Burnout. You know, I've had them come to me and say, I'm overwhelmed. I can't do this anymore.
Right.
And, you know, what can I say? I mean, we are working as hard as we possibly can to get them transferred out, adopted, fostered.
Right.
You know, we're this is spay and neuter month, but we're pretty much preaching spay and neuter all year long.
Exactly.
But this month is really important so that we don't have
so many
puppies and kittens come to us in, you know, April and May, and in the summer it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, it's harder on the animals that are in the shelter as well.
Right.
When the shelter is so overcrowded. So it's harder on, you know, I hate to say longer term residents, but, you know, animals like Chip and his brother.
The puppies take a lot of our time and resources because they're puppies. They have to be cleaned up after several times a day. And even when you finish cleaning them up, guess what? You can turn around and clean them up again.
Yeah.
So where we could spend that time loving on shy dogs like Chip, we're messing with puppies and their messes.
Right. Yeah, constantly.
And it's not like they, you know, every once in a while you'll get a 1 or 2 puppy kind of thing. But no, last year we had 2 litters of 10. We had a litter of 8. We had 5. I mean, it was just
constant. I took 7.
Yeah, you took 7
at one point, and they were bottle
and they
puppies,
were bottle babies. So, thank you for doing that.
I think they all turned out okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, and it's not just, you know, easier on us and easier on the shelter. Like, spay and neuter is better for your animal as well. Like, there are no research studies that I have found that show that leaving your animal intact is better for your animal.
No, there's a lot of health issues that can cause.
Yeah.
They're more susceptible to prostate cancer and mammary tumors.
Yep.
It's, you know, they wonder because, well, they're not spayed or neutered. So you have a unneutered male and there's a female somewhere that comes into heat. Well, they're traveling.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, they get hit by a car. They wind up at the shelter. And, you know, let me just say that probably 99% of them do not have any type of identification on them.
Right.
So that's another thing. Put a collar, ID tags, or your rabies tag. We can, I'll take whatever I get, any type of identification. If you have a collar, you can take a Sharpie, if it's a kind of a cloth collar, and write your phone number on the collar. You know, we'll find it. I'm looking everywhere. I'm looking inside and outside. I look everywhere for any type of identification because I want to get your dog back to you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Spayed and neutered dogs, I think, live, but I think females live like 23% longer and males live, I think, 18% longer. So it's like almost 2 years that you will have longer with your animal if you get it fixed.
All my dogs were spayed and neutered, and I had big dogs, like 80-pound dogs.
Oh, wow.
Lived to be 16 years old.
Yeah. Yep.
Cancer finally got them, but they were 16 years old.
Right. They had a good life.
50% of dogs over the age of 10 are going to be diagnosed with cancer anyway. But
Yep.
I actually had one that had cancer a couple times, and she passed away 6 weeks shy of her 17th birthday.
Wow.
And she was a 50-pound dog.
Wow.
Not like,
Right.
I've had some dachshunds that live to be 17. But
Right.
smaller dogs do live longer. But again, they were spayed and neutered. So
Yeah. And like you said, like they're less likely to run off. They're less likely to roam around and
Right.
be looking to mate.
looking for their own Valentine.
Yes,
And that's
looking
not
for
what
their
we're looking for.
Yes. Which, keeps them out of the road. It keeps them from, getting hit by a car.
Keeps them
or
at home.
Keeps them from fighting with other dogs over who their Valentine is going to be.
Right.
There's less spraying, there's less marking. It's just less hassle for the owner to get your animal spayed and neutered. Your dog isn't whining every time she goes into heat. Like,
Right.
It's easier on you as the owner to have your dog.
And it's healthier for your pet.
Yes. So spay-neuter your animal, folks.
Yes. Please.
Please.
Please neuter your animal.
One of the members of Folka, Taylor, was talking about her neighbor, or maybe her friend had said that one of her neighbor's dogs, who I assume was not neutered, was out roaming, prowling, looking for his Valentine, and kept setting off her Ring camera like 12 or 13 times during the night. So, like, it's also being a good neighbor.
Right.
And not setting off your neighbor's Ring camera at all hours of the night because your dog is out roaming around looking for a Valentine. And then, like you said, it's less strays that turn up at the shelter. It's lower costs for you guys.
It's lower costs for us. It's lower costs for everybody. And, Folka has a SNPs program.
Yes, we do. Yes.
So it's based, I think, on your income, but you can call and they will set up an appointment. Sometimes they have spay and neuter clinics. I think the next one coming up is probably full.
It is, yes. So SNP stands for spay and neuter is a positive solution. And in
Absolutely.
In 2025, we did 508 surgeries.
Wow.
So that's
a lot.
That's how many we help fund. I think we're hoping to do more in 2026.
So if you're thinking 508
times 67,000, that's a lot of animals.
Exactly.
That's a lot of animals.
Of not going to have stray animals in Lawrence County.
Yep. So yes, our next clinic is February 21st. It is full. But if you are signed up for that clinic, make sure that you have your animals at Rotary Park at 6 a.m. So we can get you checked in and your animals loaded up. It filled up fast. So that's...
I think we are preaching enough now that once they post it on Facebook, I think it's like within hours, pretty much they're filling up.
Yeah.
Now, you don't have to wait for the clinic because you can call the SNPs number.
Yes.
I don't know the SNPs number.
I
don't know if we have it in our notes.
I have the email, so I will give you the email. It is Lawrence County SNPs @gmail.com. So you can send them an email and we will check it. A volunteer will call you back and match you with an opportunity that works for you. We are working right now on a March opportunity for dogs for spay and neuter.
Okay. And that's Lawrence County SNPs @gmail.com.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that should happen sometime in March, middle to the end of March, I think is what we're shooting for. We are hoping that to be a dogs only clinic.
Okay.
And then we're working with some partners in other areas to hopefully get more clinics that we're going to work with to have more spay and neuters. Because right now we have to travel no matter what.
Right.
So we have to transport these animals to those clinics in order to get them spayed and neutered. So that is something else I think that we're hoping, to get sorted out with our volunteer
We've got a lot of things going on.
A lot of things.
That's going to be helpful for the community, helpful for the shelter. And we've got lots going on.
Yeah, definitely. So we have those clinics coming up. If you're interested in volunteering and helping, we always need people at like Rotary Park to help check those dogs in and help with the intake, and get them all loaded up and ready to go. And then I think with the recovery as well. I think right now we're doing them in Columbia. I think we took some to Williamson County today, didn't we?
We did take some to Williamson County because those are the dogs at this point that we are going to be transporting to Pennsylvania here in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
But typically, I think we go to Columbia.
Okay. I think we're working to try to get some clinics set up in Huntsville and then maybe Shelbyville.
Okay.
So again, that's kind of like a long way to drive, but we don't really have a closer clinic that can do.
But we're transporting them.
Yes. So you just show up. You just show up locally.
Show up at Rotary Park or the designated area with your dog. Preferably, I think in a kennel, but I think we have some kennels. So we load them up, we drive them off, we turn around and bring them back, several hours later. So you can almost drop them off before work and pick them up after work.
Yep,
pretty
absolutely.
much. So that's, how much easier can it be on you? And then the cost is reduced as well. So
yep, absolutely. And I think, like you said, it's a sliding scale based on income.
Right. And I don't know anything about that sliding scale.
I'm not sure either. But if you email Lawrence County SNIPS, SNIPS @gmail.com, someone will get back to you and let you know. But we definitely need volunteers to help with that, the SNIPS program. As we increase our spay and neuter clinics, our demand for transport volunteers is increasing. Right. So if you have interest in driving a transit van to and from one of these clinics, or maybe doing a longer haul, maybe up to one of these rescue clinics.
Right, because we're doing, we're transporting our dogs out of the area, like I said earlier, to Pennsylvania. I think we may be going to I think some of them may be going to Massachusetts, but we've got somebody's going to get them. And so we're doing our best to move things out, but we need people who can transport them for us. We have a couple of men, thank goodness for them right now that are doing it, but they're not totally retired, and they have other things to do as well. So there might be a time we're going to need somebody else to help us do that. So if you're used to driving, retired FedEx drivers, Amazon drivers, USPS, UPS, over the long haul, over the road drivers. If you're retired and you're just bored, hey, we can set you up, and if we still have cash, he can be your ride shotgun.
So you can have a shotgun buddy. And it doesn't have to be like a full-time permanent commitment. It could just be like, I can drive, once or twice a year. It doesn't have to be it's like, and I can, I can do it once because I have nothing to do this month or this week or whatever. Exactly.
And I'm bored, so
or just see how it goes, and on a trial run, and then if it doesn't work out or it's not something that
the two gentlemen that are driving for us now, they drove to Buffalo last year from here. Wow. So they went all the way up to Buffalo, and it was like a 16-hour drive, and they didn't stop to eat or anything because they thought they'd get sleepy if they stopped to eat. So they just drove straight through, and I'm thinking, they're never going to do this again. Well, they were so energized, I think, by how they helped the dogs to get them somewhere else, and how that whole process worked with the fosters coming and pick them up and everything, that they're like, oh yeah, we want to do it again.
Oh, that's so great. It's so great, like when you get to see how you touch that dog's life,
Right,
like in
exactly.
such a meaningful way like that. It is very energizing, I think. But yeah, so any way you want to volunteer, we're happy to help you. You can email Folca Volunteer, FOLCA, volunteer@gmail.com. So even if you can just come out and help us one day, like, we are very happy to have you. It makes a difference. It really does. It makes a difference to us. It makes a difference to the dogs like Chip.
Yes. And we had a couple of spay and neuter myth busting things on here. So some of them here says my pet should have 1 litter first. Not necessarily. No. Doesn't need, that doesn't really need to happen.
No.
You know, I've heard, oh, I want my children, or I want to experience the miracle of birth. I've seen it. Yes, it's a miracle. Thank you, Jesus, for that. I don't want to see it again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it
was traumatizing the first time I saw a cat have a litter of kittens. I was like,
Aw. Yeah. So there's no medical evidence that justifies that your dog needs to have a litter of puppies before you spay her.
And spaying and neutering changes their personality. No, I haven't. Well, maybe.
In a good way.
It changes it in a good way, because they're not going to roam. But your, docile dog is not going to all of a sudden become, a puppy. Or, if you have a dog that's energetic and wants to go and move, they're not going to gain weight and become lethargic.
Right.
Now, some female dogs do gain weight. Mine did, but you know what? I also realized that she was getting a little older, and I wasn't walking her as much as I used to. So it really wasn't her fault.
Right.
And not only that, we're the ones feeding them.
Right.
So my dog, gets 3/4 of a cup twice a day. She's great with that. If I all of a sudden start feeding her more, or she gets less exercise, I'm going to need to cut back on something, kind of like myself,
Yeah. I think a lot of that too is like at the age at which you
do it, right?
It happens to be, we neutered one of our dogs right at a year. And so that, also happens to be the age where maybe they start calming down already.
A little bit, right.
So he wasn't
We
quite.
all hope they start to calm down, depending on the breed.
Yeah. He's a healer. So we had another 6 months to go. But yeah, so I think, that has a lot to do with it too.
Right.
The age in which you start, you get them fixed has a lot to do with that. And so, it's not one thing that causes them to start settling down, or maybe they put on a little weight, and we all put on weight, guys.
Exactly. When we're not exercised, we all put on weight. We're not going to talk about that. Moving right along.
Yes. So earlier is better.
Exactly.
Make your appointments with your vet as early as possible.
Correct, because the vets, it's not like you can just walk in and say, I want my dog to be spayed.
Exactly.
And the vets sometimes get backed up. I know that the vet that I use and that we use at the shelter, they're like I think we're at least 3 months out.
Right.
Not 3 months, but 3 weeks out and making those appointments. So, if you want to make an appointment like for your dog during spring break or something, so you're home with it or whatever, you need to think about those things ahead of time and go ahead and make those appointments now.
Yeah, absolutely. And then take advantage of community programs like SNPs.
Exactly.
If you need those programs, make sure you email us. If you don't need those programs, support them so other people can use them. Yeah.
Well, look, we're almost over.
We are almost
telling you.
Yeah, right.
So we need to thank our sponsors.
Again. Yes. So thank you to Hearing Services of Middle Tennessee, Parks and Lumber Company, and Story and Lee Furniture. Thank you to
and WLX.
Of course, always a huge thank you to WLX.
Thank you to WLX.
Yep.
And don't forget, Chip can be your Valentine.
Yes.
Or you can come out and pick out another Valentine.
Yeah.
And if it's raining this Saturday, come the following Saturday and pick out a post-Valentine.
Yep.
So.
Post-Valentine, Valentine.
Exactly.
Yep. And then Tails to Trails at Davy Crockett State Park.
Is this Sunday.
Yep.
And don't forget the walking adventures. I almost forgot.
Doggy adventures.
The doggy adventures.
Yep. So many things going
at any
on.
time.
Yeah.
So thank you for listening.